Look, traditionally in this country, the diasporas, whether they are Polish or Irish or Croat or Greek or others you could name, are politically far more extreme, insecure, resentful, nationalistic, irredentist, whatever you want to say, than the country that they refer to, that they refer back to, precisely, of course, because they don't live there, they live here. And so they identify with it in a very particular kind of extreme way. What is, I think, distinctive about the lobby for American-Israel relations, if you want to think it that way, in this country, is that it has now been going on a very long time. Certainly I date it from the mid-60s, and I could say more about that if there's time later. And one of the consequences is that the issue of dual loyalty seems to be beside the point. I think that's a red herring in lots of ways. It's worse than that. I think that for many American Jews, and although I'm an American Jew, I don't include myself in this, for many American Jews, there is no daylight in their thinking between America's interests and Israel's interests. From their point of view, the interests are one and the same. So they don't think to themselves, well, let's make sure there's no criticism of Israel, because criticism of Israel is in some sense un-American. The two have blended, and that makes it extraordinarily difficult to talk about the subject, because if you talk about the problem of our relationship with Israel, people can only assume that you have some other agenda, because it wouldn't be rational to separate the two in any other way. So the other agenda must be anti-Semitism of one kind or another. And I think what's happened is that there's a kind of codependency that's opened up between the two countries in the thinking, and I'll finish on this, that people have here about them, such that Israel encourages America's misreading of the Middle East in recent years, and America effectively conspires in Israel's failure to face the Palestinian problem head on. And it's very difficult to see in this country how people would learn to separate out the two. And this goes back, as I said, to the mid-60s. And on this, I'll finish. Amos Elon, the very senior Haaretz journalist, who was the foreign editor. Amos Elon.
Oh, okay.
Amos. Back in the 1960s, was at a party in Washington to say goodbye to a long-standing Israeli ambassador. And he asked the ambassador, what do you regard, off the record, what do you regard as your greatest achievement during your time here? And the ambassador said to him, Amos, my greatest achievement has been to convince Americans that anti-Zionism equals anti-Semitism. And I think that this is...
Who was the ambassador?
I'll tell you after, some other time. This is our problem. We have to somehow unravel this connection. And then we could have an intelligent debate about what is and what is not America's interest and Israel's interest.
Yeah.